Hello and welcome to the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast on a journey to success. My first episode that I had to break down into two parts with Ginger Bell. Let's resume where we left off and let's get started. Welcome to the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast, brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. I'm your host, Frank Garay, here with my good friend Ginger Bell. And I just want to kind of pick it up where we left off, which was when we left off with you. You had just got told no by the NMLS because basically you didn't have the mojo behind you. You were a startup. They loved your product way better than anybody else's. And they said, geez, can you even just get a backer or something like that? But of course, this is in the midst of the crisis. There's really
no money.
Yeah,
Nobody's
showing up to, throw some money at this thing or whatever. So we just had to miss out on that one, which was just getting to that point. The journey so far has been really intriguing and really laced with great lessons for everybody, that's listened to part one. But I want to get to the end, right? I want to get to today. So let's continue down the journey, Ginger, and pick up from being rejected by the NMLS, who went with a British company. And where do you go from there? So you did all this work. You have this great product. It's absolutely amazing, to the point that the NMLS actually was like, we love it.
Yeah.
But we just can't deal with your company because you're just not big enough yet.
Or too little.
Yeah, you're too small. Now what do you do? Where do you go? And what happens next?
Yeah. It was hard when we got that call because we knew we were a perfect fit. But you know what? You have to shift. And, that was the quote and the title, shift hard, shift fast. So had to do that. And at the time, all of the mortgage meltdown was happening and we had a lot of regulatory changes going on. And so I'd gone to lunch with a good friend of mine, the one who got me into the industry. And had the conversation. He's like, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to, training at Dale Carnegie. And he says, don't do that. I mean, it was like,
your mind, huh?
It's like, I don't know.
Go back to the beginning.
Yeah, go back to the beginning. And he said, don't do that. He said, there's a lot of regulatory changes going on. I need someone to teach brokers what's happening. So can you create the content for all these regulatory changes? And we'll do webinars and get started on that. I'm like, I know how to make a PowerPoint. I know how to read content. Sure, why not? I'm in. And I'd already been down the road of developing, CE classes. And so I had the compliance background to be able to do that. And so that's what we started doing. And I started doing webinars. The very first one was it was called MDIA, Mortgage Disclosure Information Act. And that was one of the very first changes that came out. And so I started doing webinars on that. And then the next regulatory change came out and I did, webinar on that. And this was for Plaza Home Mortgage, wholesale lender, still in business, Kevin Parra, James Kutry, great guys. And so I was doing this in Oregon for my friend Tom Tuff and his branch for Plaza. And corporate kept hopping on and they would send it out to all of the brokers. And so finally the conversation was, it's like, look, guys, you're obviously picking this up nationally. Tom's regional. So, if you guys want to do this national, you need to do it national. And they're like, well, you do it. And I said, okay. And Kevin wanted me to move to San Diego at the time where their headquarters are. And it's like, my son's in middle school. So I'm not moving to San Diego.
Right.
And I said, I'll help you find someone. And they said, no. We don't want you to find someone. We want you to do this. And so I said, well, I'm going to work remote. And so that's how I ended up doing that. So I created Plaza's entire learning platform, their training platform, and literally went through and did training on every single mortgage regulation. And then from that, I had a lot of other companies pick up. ArchMI was one I did a lot of training for. Fidelity National Title I did a lot of training for. On every
let me ask you this though. So you just kind of brushstroke, and I had these other companies and I was doing all this training for these other companies. Like, how does that happen though? Do they call you and say, hey, I see what you're doing over here. Can you do that for us? So is that how that happened?
Yeah.
And how did they learn about you though? Because you've got Fidelity and you've got Arch MI and like but you were with Plaza Wholesale, right? So how are they attending your training somehow? And then they're going, hey, do this for us now, basically is what
Yeah, we
happened?
just started, it's like working together because Plaza was a wholesale lender and worked with a lot of other companies like title companies and MI companies. We just kind of started a collaborative and then they're like, hey, can you do this over here? And so we started doing, whether it's a webinar, did a lot of live workshops, California. I'm sure I saw you several.
Okay, I gotta ask this now. Okay, so how are we getting paid? How are we getting paid right now? Who's paying you at this point?
So Plaza was paying me, and then a lot of the other companies, some of it was a one-off. What ended up happening is I ended up having so much other business that I handed off everything I had built with Plaza and went out on my own. And so it was just, I've always worked only by referral. And usually it's just people attending a webinar or a workshop. And, they would sit on a workshop and then say, hey, can you come and, we're having our annual event. Will you come and train there? And so that's just how it's always worked out. Where,
So what year is this?
well, I mean, from 2008 until 2015, TRID was the last regulatory change that we had.
That was all with Plaza.
No, I did it for Plaza till 2013.
Okay, so from 08 to 13, you're pretty much primarily Plaza. You're on the payroll. You're getting but you're developing this training program
Yeah,
for them.
we had broker in a box. We developed broker in a box, how to become a broker. We did a lot of non-Dell mini core at the time. They had relationships with companies like First Funding, which is a warehouse facility. And so it was a lot of collaboration. From that collaboration, then, speaking at events, I would meet someone else. And so in 2013, I left Plaza and I I went and worked for a law firm off at Kerman that was starting a compliance um, offshoot, which was originally called C3 Compliance Solutions. Ari Karen was the founder. And I helped them create all of their compliance for mortgage brokers. So we had
Really?
compliance in a box.
So this is interesting because at this time, the mortgage broker community was pretty much getting rubbed out. I mean, a lot of brokers were going into the retail side of things. Right. But yet through this whole time when this is happening, you're still working on compliance for brokers. Was any of this applicable to bankers at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you could facilitate both.
It was both.
It was both. Okay.
But really it was the brokers were the ones that were really missing out on having the resources. And so it was creating a lot of those resources. And then
I hate to keep interrupting you, but were you connected to any associations at that time that were helping?
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot with associations, NAM.
Yeah.
NAM, we did a lot with CAMP, California Association. Yeah, just a lot of the associations. And then again, back to the title companies, Fidelity National Title, I did a lot with them. Arch MI, big supporter, so I did a lot with them. And it just kind of grew from there to the point that in 2013, I was doing so many videos and webinars and live events on all of this that I was recruited by a technology company in Silicon Valley that was creating an online learning platform that they were gamifying. So they wanted to create an online learning platform that had like leaderboards and games and things like that. And so they recruited me to help them design this technology.
So what year is this?
That was 2015. Well, it was probably 2014. Yeah, 2014.
So were you on so you were Placer in 2013, but then you said you went on your own. Are you on your own yet in between, like between Placer and this new tech company?
No, from
You're
Plaza, I went to Offutt Kerman and
oh
was
yeah, the
there a
attorney.
year, helped
Just
them get their
briefly.
thing just
Just
started.
briefly.
And then I went to, it was called Morph Media. And so Morph was in Palo Alto.
Was
And
this for mortgage stuff? This Morph Media?
so it was a technology company. It was an online platform. They actually had their CTO, who had been the CTO, the original CTO for Apple. And so they brought him on and a whole team of developers and coders. And I worked with them and designed their platform to be
Really?
because I had developed software before that I had of my own.
Yeah.
So I knew what the requirements were. And so, yeah, so I worked with them to develop a platform. They had an app. The app was on, the iOS for Apple and on Android. And so we were putting all the compliance courses in there. And that was really the whole idea. And then
For
we also,
mortgage. All the compliance courses for mortgage were
for
going in there.
mortgage. And then we had a healthcare professional. So working on all the healthcare. And so I did that until 2015. And unfortunately, this company lost their funding. And so that's the thing.
That must have been a neat experience,
Technology.
though. That must have been kind of a neat experience to work with, a company like that that had a big team of developers. The CTO was
Yeah,
with Apple. Like that must be kind of exciting time, maybe for
it
me.
was. It was,
Yeah.
I love developing things. I love the newness. I'm a builder. I mean, I love building things.
Mm,
And so that part of it was really good. And had they not lost their backing,
mm.
then would have been some amazing things we could do.
So
Yeah.
it just kind of fell apart, like when they lost their back. It's like, oh, we don't doing that anymore. See you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah,
Really?
they lost their backing, started not getting paid. And so I had, again, it's like,
Dude,
okay,
like you've been down this path a couple of times along this journey now. All of a sudden,
couple
everything's
times.
great, then door slams. Everything's great, door slams. Like, here we
Yeah.
go. Now
Yeah, here we
what?
go again. Now
All
what?
right. So
Yeah.
now we're at, what are we at? 2015.
2015.
And we
And
just had the door slam shut on this really cool tech company.
yep.
And where are we going now?
So I had been working independently enough and had enough
Wait, before we go
relationships.
here, just at the tech, I'm still intrigued by this tech company that brought you on and recruited you. Any lesson learned there that we could glean? I mean, you're working with a bunch of people. These are some high-end peeps. You know what I mean? You're working, collaborating with some, in healthcare people, with mortgage people. I mean, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but anything you can think back to that particular moment with that particular chapter, like that stands out, like that was a lesson learned or anything? I mean, if not, no big deal.
I think probably, Frank, honestly, I think probably the biggest lesson from that was learn your lessons. And, every part of the journey I've been on, there are lessons to learn. And so you can't look at it from the negative side as like, oh my gosh, here another company that went out of business and here I got to change again. I just I and I learned this a long time ago. I had a boss one time. I lost a big deal. And before I got started in the mortgage industry, I was a recruiter. A lot of people don't know that. And so I had pushed for this deal and it ended up not coming together. And my manager, she was amazing. I was terrified to go in and tell her that I'd lost the deal. And she's like, okay, talked about it. She goes, did you learn a lesson? I said, yeah, this is what I learned. She goes, great. I want you making mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, you're not taking enough risk.
Good stuff.
And so that's it. And I just always looked at it that way. It's like, hey, I took a risk, I learned. And so now what's the next step in the journey? And so I went into consulting, and that's when I really just started doing consulting independently on my own.
So is it after this tech company that you started doing that?
Yeah, because I didn't want to be with another company that wasn't going to be around.
Yeah, right. So there's your lesson. There's your lesson learned, kind of. I mean, one
Yeah.
of them, right? It's like, you know what, man, I need to kind of take control and just be my own thing and run my own ship,
Yep.
And
Yeah.
So was
Yeah.
that when Edumarketing came to be? Was it
No,
2015?
not yet. The company I had at the time was still Go-To Training, which had been
I
the
remember Go-To
technology
Training.
company. Yeah. So it was still,
Okay, now this is where I met you.
yes.
Is when Go-To Training was around.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember, yeah, you had a directory or something, or there was a right?
Yeah, we had a
Was it-
director. I mean, we had a lot of different things. Actually, you and I met the first time in Vegas, and I was teaching a SAFAT class at
uh,
NAM, and
uh,
you and Brian attended. Brian left his backpack in the classroom.
typical.
And
Yeah.
I
Hey,
was
if you would have said Brian left his right shoe in the class, I would have been like, yeah, that doesn't
and
surprise me.
so that's when we first met. But yes, yeah. So
The good old days.
yes, the
The
good
good
old
old
days.
days. All right. So, okay. So let's keep going. So
So
I remember Go-To Training.
yep.
That was so. How did that go? And what were you doing?
So I knew if I picked up like 3 clients that I could be on a retainer with, then I could build this. And so I did that. And the first one, they were just transitioning to Finance of America. And Terry Buckman, who was their sales manager, said, listen, I want to have a training platform developed. I can't afford to hire you full time. Will you do consulting? And it's like, yes. And so picked her up as a client, First Funding, which is a warehouse facility. I picked them up on a retainer. And then I had another client I picked up. It might have been ArchMI. And from there, I just started getting other clients. So Remax, when they started their model mortgage division, I was referred to them. And so I helped them design all of their training for their model mortgage brokers.
Let me just reel back a little bit. So you thought, okay, I got to get 3 good companies on retainer, and then I'm gonna have this base that I can work with, so that now I can continue to expand my big fat idea, right?
Yeah.
When it came to reaching out, so you got who are the 3 that you got that you picked up pretty quickly?
So it was First Funding, which is a
First
warehouse
Funding,
facility, and then Finance of America
yeah, Finance America,
and
Remax,
ArchMI.
ArchMI. Okay, so these 3.
And then I
So
picked up Remax.
and then Remax. Okay, so we got 4. So let me ask you this though: how did you get them? Did you approach them?
No, just referrals. I mean, they had
So
seen work before and
as you're dive bombing out of the tech company, right? Are the referrals coming in at this time, or was there some dead time for you where you're like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna start this thing, and then they start calling you, or did you put the feelers out? These are big accounts. That's what I guess. Right. I guess what I'm trying to say is these are big accounts, right? This is no joke. Like, for you to retain those companies to do training stuff for them, it's no joke. You just can't
yeah.
just somebody just can't walk in the door and get that business, So I'm just curious, how did you get it? Like, how did it come to be? You
Yeah.
know,
So Terry was someone I had done work with in the past. And so I flew down to California and made a couple lunch appointments.
so
And
you instituted it. You
I,
instigated.
yeah,
You
yeah.
started to reach out. Okay, good. So okay, and you even went so far as making a plane trip to go and meet with some people, huh?
Yeah, it's like, you know what? I knew the type of client that I would need. I had relationships that I had done things with them in the past. And so I said, listen, and I want to meet for lunch. And so we had lunch and I said, this is where I'm at. This is what I bring. What do you need? How can I help? And and that's what we did. And that's so much of what it is, Frank. It's like um tomorrow I'm doing a webinar for ArchMI and it's on AI. And this is the second AI webinar I've done for them. I've continually done things for Arch for a long time. They're an absolutely great partner. And so I do a lot of their one-offs. And so they'll call me. It's like, hey, can you do something on this? It's like, yeah. And so we have, the last I looked, I think we have 1,200 people registered for this AI webinar. I'm doing on creating a first-time home buyer campaign using AI. And so from that, and this is what happens if you put yourself out there. If you, whether you're doing videos, whether you're doing a webinar, whether you're doing your workshop, you have to put yourself out there. And some ideas work and some don't, as I have clearly found out. But I'm going to keep swinging for the fences. The next big topic, one of my favorite quotes from Wayne Gretzky is skate to where the puck is going. Mm-hmm. And that's it. It's like, look what's coming up right now. Back in the day, it was regulations. Did I love doing that stuff? Absolutely not. But did I love teaching and training? Yes. Was it boring? Oh, of course it was boring, but I found ways to make it interesting, and we had different things we did with it. Now it's AI. The big thing right now is AI. So if you find yourself, and Carl White has a great quote that I absolutely love, is find a parade and put yourself at the front of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Well, you know what I'm hearing too is you were you were at a crossroads. The tech thing fell apart, right? You decided you're going to go and do your own thing. You knew you needed to secure a few good accounts, right? To make this happen.
Right.
But it's kind of like this, Ginger. You didn't just start peppering resumes out on some sort of, resume distribution place. Maybe even you did, I don't know. But
No.
what you chose to do was you chose to go after the qualified. This is like somebody working the daily success plan with real estate agents. Get a list of qualified people,
exactly,
agents that are doing business, preferably those who already know you. Let's start there.
Right.
And that's exactly what you did. You knew who the qualified players were, and you kind of started going down the path of people who you had familiarity with. And then you went and met with them and had a conversation. And this is how you secured these accounts.
Yep.
It's just you had conversations, right? I mean, you engaged with the people that you knew could bring the money,
and find out how you can help them. So when you can find out someone's needs, just like back when I got the job at Argent that didn't exist, even though he didn't have a job, he fired someone because I uncovered a need. A need was an area that wasn't performing. And so when you find that, you can go from there. So,
where do we go? Where do we go from here? So we're go to training. We've got a handful of staples, right? We got our anchor clients.
Yep. Getting them booked. I'm doing coaching for them as far as them getting out and doing speaking. And I've got all this stuff going on. And I was at a conference in Vegas, and I was doing a workshop on probably video or using educational content in your marketing. And that's where I coined the term Edumarketing. And Jim Dunkerley, who's the president of First Funding, was in the room. It was doing the webinar or the workshop on behalf of him. And he goes, "That's it, Ginger. That's what you do. You need to brand that. That is you. It's Edumarketing." And so that's what started me down that path to change the company name from Go To Training to Edumarketing.
So what year is that again?
That was probably 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I had 3 wonderful years, really 4 into 2019, with great clients like Remax, Model Mortgage, ArchMI, Finance of America. Total Expert was one that I did consulting for as well. So, just really helping companies to develop training. And then was able to.
I love when I interrupt you. Now you threw Total Expert into the mix. So even Total Expert, are they reaching out to you saying, "Hey, Ginger, we need some help"?
Yeah.
This is pretty cool, man. I mean, but you know what's interesting about it to me is you're certainly in the limelight, as far as, I mean, today especially. I mean, everybody, so many originators know you, Edumarketing and what you do and how you help originators and all that kind of stuff. But back then, you were kind of almost sort of behind the
I was
scenes.
totally behind the scenes.
You're behind the scenes, but yet behind the scenes, everybody knows you. Like
Right.
the people that are running the companies that are,
Yes.
the behind the scenes, the upper management, the executive at the executive level,
Right.
right? Which let's be honest, most of those people are behind the scenes too.
Yeah.
A little bit behind the scenes. So you've got this behind the scenes sort of network of executives that know you, and so you're being drawn in. It's just really a neat story, Ginger. I mean, you work your way up into this echelon of contacts and people that have you've been able to kind of ride this sort of tide and wave, you know what I mean? In this niche of training and educating for decades now. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just a really neat story, man. I'm really impressed. I don't know if you guys are listening or impressed. I am. I just, because these are, you just don't go out and get a Remax account. You just don't do that. This comes from years of work and I don't know, proving yourself, and
Yeah, I think.
accomplishing a lot of things. Like when you say you completed a training course for Plaza of all the mortgage regulations, like you say, barf. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's a lot, but yet done, needed to be done, needed to
Yeah.
be done, done well, done beautifully. You know what I mean? That speaks volumes. And I just hope everybody who's listening is getting something out. I know I am. It's just, to me, it's really inspiring. I need to get involved a lot more. A lot. I'm already connected to a lot of high, people that are behind the scenes and executive levels, but man, I need to get connected to more of them, and because
Yeah.
just good things come from that, good things.
Well, and I think it's a matter of your network. The saying is your network is your
Yeah,
net worth.
that's what it is.
And
Yeah, I
and
love that.
and really that's it, is just networking. And I always have a saying whenever I go into a conference, no matter what it is. And I always say this: let me be open to the people that I am to meet and let them be open to meeting me, because you never know who it is you're going to meet. And I think people when you go to a conference, when you go to a workshop, when you go anywhere, you don't stick in your little, hub. Venture out,
Mm,
have those conversations.
mm,
And then the other thing is, you know, work with your network. It's like, who else do you know? I love having conversations with people, just talking about, what are you working on? What are your projects? And, who needs help?
mm,
Who needs help? And people are willing to share. And that's often what happens. I get emails all the time from Rob Chrisman. Hey, this person needs training. Probably not anything I can help with, but I never tell him no,
mm,
because I don't want him filtering.
mm.
And so
I
whatever the
like
site,
that. You don't want him filtered. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's like, don't you, I
Let
mean,
me
it's like,
filter.
let
Yeah.
me filter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me filter. And so, I think that's it. And then, when you have those relationships, take care of them, do really good work, and foster them. And so I think that's it for the longevity of those relationships: is do really good work and over deliver. Always, always, always over deliver.
I love it. I love it. And so now Edumarketing. So that 2018, 2019 basically is
Yeah.
when
So
Edumarketing comes.
2019 was really when I said, okay, I'm going to start switching everything over to Edumarketing. My plan was to build a base of content that included video scripts, PowerPoint presentations. Tim Brahim back in the day had the Lone Toolbox. Nobody ever filled that space.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was to be able to provide content and all of that. Hired a full-time employee in 2019 who did, the website design and started getting started on all this. And then, of course, in 2020, we know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so the video production got started really because of COVID, and it was on the plans, but COVID just really catapulted it.
Mm-hmm.
And so ArchMI was the first client that reached out and said, hey, we've grounded our national sales team, and it's like the Wild West out there. Nobody knows what they're doing. Can you train our national sales team on what to do as far as video and social media. And so that's where it started. And then I started doing webinars on how to do video. And then people started reaching out to me and saying, hey, you're saying, we should do video. Where do we get started? And so from that, I put together a small beta group and said, before we get started, what do you need? And I think that's one of the things too. It's like right now, I'm doing training on AI. And so I've done a couple webinars and I've had people reach out. Again, people reach out after attending a webinar. I'm doing a webinar next week for a branch manager in Kansas City who said, hey, I love what you're doing. Can I hire you to do this for my realtors? And so as we're going through, he's like, hey, how about a certification? And so I've reached out to a couple of people I know. It's like, I've had a couple of people ask me to do training for realtors. Is this something you're interested in? So it's always a discovery. It's like, what are the needs? What are the needs? What are the needs? So instead of building it first, find out what people need. And I think that's probably people make that mistake. It's like, oh, this is a really good idea. It's like, is it a good idea? Test it out. Find out what the need is, and then go and build it. Bill Gates, that's how he built Microsoft. He always, and I have always followed the model. It's like, find out what they need and then build it. Don't build it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Kind of.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I'm very guilty of not doing that. This is great. Let's go.
We've all done that too.
You mean you don't want it? I don't understand.
That's how Edumarketing. I mean, that's how it came about.
That's how you got to be where you are. Well, let me ask you this: do you still have the anchor clients in your wheelhouse, or are you pretty much just one off in a bunch of stuff? I know you do have subscription based.
We do subscription based on our
stuff for individual LOs, right?
Yep. Yeah. So we do, and corporate. I mean, I have subscription. We have some corporate clients that we do subscriptions for as well.
Yeah.
I do still have one of my my clients that I started with First Funding, which will always have just because they're family. And so yeah, I mean, it's just the Edumarketing took off, and so I have a staff, and we do video production and we do podcast production. We're now doing book publications.
Great. Right.
Getting back into helping a couple people create their own online learning management systems. So yeah, so it's been a great journey, and I'm blessed to be able to pivot along the way.
So here we are.
2023.
Here we are, 2023 with Edumarketing. Where you are. What's next, man? Anything? Is there something brewing in Ginger's brain? Like, this is all well and good, and this is all fine, but really, there's that thing that I'm thinking. Is there anything that's kind of brewing, or are you just?
Well,
are we okay right now, or just?
No, things are good. We've been very blessed in my Edumarketing business that we are getting referrals outside of the industry. So a lot of our clients are referring their financial planners, their real estate agents, their insurance agents. I am picking up a client that's in the biotech space that was referred to me because when we do video production, we can do that for anyone, right? In any industry. But AI is really big for me right now. I've just created a directory for AI. It's called AI Beehive. And it is a directory of all the tools and all the apps and everything that is out there about AI.
For a specific industry?
No, just for AI.
In general. AI Beehive.
Yep.
Of course you did.
So
of course you did that. You've always been that kind of, let me make a directory so everybody can find everything at one place kind of a person.
Well, that's how my go-to training started with the CE.
I remember.
Because it's like, hey, we need to find this. It's like, and part of it, honestly, Frank, is because it's like, I started getting emails like, okay, you're talking about AI. What does this? And it's like, if I'm getting 5-10 emails a day from people saying, hey, what can I use for this? then it needs a directory. So you need to be able to have people go there. So that's kind of the project. But otherwise, I'm really
just
enjoying.
curious where you go from here. I'm going to be just, sitting back watching and just see where Ginger Bell. Yeah, let me ask you this. We'll kind of wrap it up. Do you feel like you've made it? Do you feel like there's more?
Oh,
Or
there's
do you feel like
absolutely more.
there's
Yeah.
more? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not feeling like kind of at the end of all this, I kind of
Oh,
want to put a
no.
cork in it or a fork in it or whatever, or both. Right.
Yeah.
No,
No.
you're feeling like
No.
you feel like you still got some steam in the tank there. You still got some gas in the tank, some mojo. Huh?
Depends on the day, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and everyone has to decide what's right for them. You start as you're, have been around this planet for a while. You have people that are, winding down. It's like ready to retire, and it's like I'm kind of just getting started. And I kind of feel that way. You look at, a lot of people that got started when they're late, it's like McDonald's with Ray Kroc. He didn't start till later. Colonel Sanders, same thing. It's like Jack Canfield. Jack did not get his book published, the series Chicken Soup for the Soul, until he was in his 50s. And talk about an amazing person. And he's still going at it. I spoke at an event several years ago, and he and I were standing doing a photo op. And he's standing next to me. He's probably in his 70s at the time, maybe early 70s. And he goes, I look pretty darn good for a 70-year-old, huh, Ginger? It's like, yes, Jack, you do. And that's it. It's like, I think for me, I am a builder. I enjoy building. I love, problem solving. And I love, being able to have those conversations. It's like, how can we solve this? How can we fix this? What are the things that we can do around it? So that's what gets me excited. That's what, keeps me going.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's who you are. That's what you do. And now you're, just completely, Edumarketing. You're just your own thing. But along the pathway of that, it's like it didn't really matter who it was you were connected to, as long as you were connected and doing what you do. You know what I mean? You were good, and then you would get picked up by another place and do what you do, and get connected to company. Then eventually go off on your own, yet you're still doing what you do. Like it's interesting to me. I just find it's interesting, and it doesn't matter if it's you're working for a company or you're working on your own, or if you've got, some anchor clients or you don't, it just doesn't matter. You just keep doing what you do and perfecting what you do and getting better at what you do. And I like what you said too, good lessons. The Gretzky quote, go where the puck is go. You've always done that. You've always kind of went that way. You know what I mean? What's going on? What's the need? What's the gap to fill? And you've always pointed in that direction, whatever it happened to be, and found a way to, take care of a need, whatever it was. So just really good stuff, man.
Well,
Good
thank
stuff,
you.
Ginger Bell.
And now you know the rest of the story.
The rest of the story. Now I know the real Ginger Bell. So I think it's awesome. I think you're terrific and always have. I've always just greatly admired you but I have always wondered, why you? Like, why is Ginger there? How did she get there? Like, who is this person? And so now I know the story. I know the whole story. So
someone is crazy enough to put themselves in the middle of the mix and then figure it out.
Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah. But I love it. It was a great story, Ginger. Thank you so much. If people want to connect with you, the best way is through Edumarketing.
Yep.
Just
Edumarketing.com.
edumarketing.com. Just go to Edumarketing. It's like education and marketing together. Edumarketing. So that should be pretty easy if you're just listening. Edumarketing.com. Connect with Ginger, and she can help you out as an individual, your company out, your team, whatever. Doesn't matter. She's got the mojo. She's got the mojo. So, Ginger, thanks so much, man.
Frank, thank you. You've been such a great friend through the years, and we have definitely been through the ups and downs through the years. And that's the wonderful thing about our industry is the relationships we make. So thank you for all you do.
Oh, you too. Good stuff. Looking forward to seeing you again. I'm sure we'll see you at an event here coming up.
Yep, I'm sure.
One of these days soon. So good enough. Well, Ginger Bell, thanks to you. Congratulations on all your success and your journey. There's a lot more ahead. Not for me. I want out of this as soon as possible, just so you know. But it's a fantasy. I don't know if it'll come true. But at any rate, man, thanks so much, Ginger. And for the rest of you, reach out to Ginger Bell at edumarketing.com. She's here to help. I think at the end of the day, Ginger's just always been here to help. Right? That's it. She's just always been here. How can I help? Right? That's your thing. Right? That'll be the title. How can I help? No, I like what was it? Your network is your net worth. I like that. That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. So, all right. Well, we'll get out of here. Ginger Bell, thank you so much. For the rest of you, we'll catch you here next time on the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast. Don't forget, you can join me live every Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time, live on a Zoom call, absolutely free, coaching call with the Mortgage Marketing Animals at the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. So come hang out with us there. It's a super good time. People are just really, it's just changing lives every single day, changing lives. So you guys meet us there, and we'll catch you here next time on the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast, brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. Adios, everybody. Bye-bye.